What's up guys, this is my guide on mage inscriptions and spell rotations for PvE. A couple things I want to point out first. I tried to combine both PvP and PvE guides, but it ended up being too long for one video. That said, stay tuned for the PvP version coming soon. Secondly, in no way do I think this is some sort of best mage build for PvE. It's a build that works well for me and allows me to keep up, if not do more DPS than rangers, monks, and other mages. This has been requested by many viewers, so let's get right into it. Passive skills. Wizardry should always be equipped unless you have the staff combo skill unlocked, which gives you wizardry automatically. Without it, mages have horrible mana issues and are guaranteed to go out of mana within 2 spell rotations. For the second passive, you have a choice between Glass Cannon or Critical Mass. Glass Cannon will provide more DPS to yourself, but Critical Mass will help everyone in your group. You just won't hit as hard. Use Glass Cannon if you know your group DPS is great, or switch to Critical Mass if your group hits like wet noodles. If you have the staff combo skill unlocked, you can use both. Here are my inscriptions. Missile Flurry into Spare Ammo. The 30% chance for extra missiles proc very often and will give you more DPS than Rocket Launcher to burning targets. The extra missiles can also hit nearby targets. It's basically Rocket Launcher and Encircling Shot combined into one inscription. Next, we have Arcane Blade into Magic Strike. We're going to be using Meteorite a lot, which puts a burning condition on targets for 4 seconds. 3 of those seconds will be 100% increased burn damage from using Magic Strike. Everlast is also just as good, but I find Magic Strike a little more consistent in damage. Switch to Parrying Blow if you know you're going to steal aggro and need to tank bosses. Third, we have Fire Burst into Phoenix Up. In my opinion, this is the only inscription worth getting for both PvE and PvP. In PvE, Fire Burst does not hit or crit as hard as Meteorite. It's only worth casting Fire Burst if you have Arcane Blade or Electrostatic Up. Both Volcanic Eruption and Flame Split are terrible from a mana cost to damage ratio. Fourth, we have Arctic Blast into Bitter Cold. We're mostly using this inscription because the others are just horrible for PvE. It's a powerful instant cast and can crit harder than both Meteorite and Fire Burst. There's no reason to use Deep Freeze, and Glacial Recharge is too inconsistent to depend on. It's great when it procs, and terrible when it does not. 5. We have Electrostatic into Susceptible. This is your power-up skill. It only lasts for 4 seconds, which is not a lot of time. However, it's just enough time to cast either Fire Burst or Meteorite and combo with Arctic Blast for big damage before the duration ends. Rejuvenating Light is great if you need a steady self-heal, but will lose out on some DPS. There is no reason to use Under Pressure unless you're pulling a ton of mobs to AoE. Next, we have Lightning Arc into Electro Magic. Again, this is the only inscription worth getting for both PvE and PvP in my opinion. We're mainly using this spell to keep up the 20% increased critical damage buff. For single target, it changes the mana cost from 30 to 10, the same mana cost as Missile Flurry. The main goal is to keep the critical damage buff up the whole time. For multiple targets, you can gain back mana if you hit more than 2 enemies. Shock value isn't worth it since mages have plenty of other, better AoE spells to use, and healthy hit is a bad trade-off between health gain versus mana used. For Ice Blink, we go Slippery Slope because it's fun. And lastly, we have Meteorite into Recuperation. Meteorite already hits and crits harder than Fire Burst. It can AoE, and now it will cost less mana. Trust me, the difference in 20 mana saved is amazing. I have no mana issues at all. Interstellar Burn is good too, but you might go out of mana mid-fight if you run your spell rotation too aggressively. There is no reason to go Space Thump unless you're pulling a ton of mobs to AoE down. Alright, here is the main spell rotation. Lightning Arc for the crit damage buff, Meteor for the 4-second burn condition, Arc Blade for a 3-second max burn damage, Missile Flurry, Electrostatic for a 4-second debuff on boss, Fire Burst, chained to an Arctic Blast before Electrostatic ends. That whole combo will do a ton of damage. From there, it's kind of trying to repeat the same combo or parts of it. Always cast Fire Burst or Meteor before using Arcane Blade to maximize burning condition and damage. Always use Electrostatic first to boost Meteor or Fire Burst damage, and combo into Arctic Blast. You can also finish channeling Missile Flurry and then Arctic Blast before Electrostatic ends. Start every fight with Lightning Arc to get the buff, and keep refreshing it the whole time. You lose out on some big DPS if you don't maintain uptime on the buff. If you know there are going to be ad spawns in certain boss fights, tie Lightning Arc to hit multiple targets to gain back mana. That's pretty much it for my PVE Mage guide. Keep in mind, all of this will probably change in the next update, but as of right now, it works amazing. Here's some footage of my rotation in GFL. I hope you guys enjoy.